Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome back. I hope you can all hear me. Give me a little hello in the chat if you can. Awesome. I'm just going to quickly invite our speakers to the stage. Awesome. Hello, Katya. Hi. Good to see you guys again. Awesome. Cool. So, yeah, as everyone's coming in slowly, hi guys, hi everyone. Pop a little hello or tell me where you're based at the moment in the chat. Hi Mike, how's it going?
Very well, good morning.
Good morning. So before I hand over fully to Mike, I just want to say hello to everyone and just go over a few things. So today's workshop is on how to utilize Gnosis Chain Datasets with indexes. This is the first workshop of this week. We're already on week 3 now, if I'm not mistaken. I will do a couple of admin things at the end, but feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I've put those links in the chat. So if you need anything, feel free to ping me there. And I've also put Mike's Twitter in the chat too, as well as Goldsky's Twitter there. So you can go give them a follow and contact our speakers today after we're done. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'll say everything else I need to say later on. Mike, are you ready to go?
As soon as I unmute, yes, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. Are you sharing a screen today?
I am, yes. Give me a minute. All right. Good morning, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're calling in from. My name is Mike Nikles. I work at Goldsky and I focus on developer experience. So anything that you will be interacting with, whether that's Indexed.xyz or Goldsky or anything, if something doesn't work, I'm the person to yell at, and then I'll get this sorted out. I've been at Goldsky for about a year now, and we basically provide you with a way to index your data from the blockchain, then give you ways to access that. Now, what we did very recently was we launched something called Indexed.xyz, which basically provides you with a free and open data set for blockchain events. So we do all the heavy lifting of getting that, indexing it, and then we provide it as data files that you can download to your computer or to a cloud machine and then analyze that. So what I want to do today is show you what it is and how you can use that maybe through your hackathon projects if you need to analyze any kind of data or anything alike. Now, because I have my screen in full screen mode, I don't see any questions or anything. So if somebody has a question, then please interrupt or just let me know. All right, cool. So let's get started. 3 very simple things we're going to do today. I'm going to talk about what is indexed, just so that everybody's on the same page. And then I'll give you a demo, and then we can do some Q&A at the end. Or if you have something that you want to say, as soon as I'm out of the presentation here, I will see the chat, and I will be able to try and act and answer that in real time. Right, so first things first, what is Indexed.xyz? So as I briefly touched on, it's basically Goldsky and a bunch of Web3 and cloud organizations getting together and taking whatever's happening on the blockchain, indexing that and providing blocks and traces and events and logs in a file format that's called Parquet. It's very easy to query. There's various tools you can use to access that with SQL or even visualize it in dashboards and whatnot. So we basically put that up on Cloudflare R2 at the moment. And what you can do is you can download that from there with various tools. We'll get into that in a second. And then work with that data. Now, that data is up to date as of about, with a 10-minute refresh. So if you do something now, then you do have to give it some time to get that latest data. There are other ways to get this live streamed as well. We'll touch on in a minute. So if you have more critical use cases where things have to happen more real time, then we provide ways to deal with that. Right. So we'll jump right into the demo. I think this is most valuable for everybody on the call, given what you're going to be doing during the hackathon. So this is just for your reference once you get access to the slides afterwards. But I'll show you what's on this slide in real time. So let me get out of here and just go quickly over here. If we have any questions, I don't see anything yet. So let me jump
one
over.
actually. Sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick one from Abhishek asking, can they earn money as a developer by Indexed.xyz?
Can I earn money? Yeah, I mean, depending on what you build, you can probably earn money with it. Not through us. Like Indexed.xyz doesn't pay anybody to use the data or whatnot. But depending on the project you build, you can use that for commercial purposes. Yeah, it's open, free. Go for it. Use it for anything you want. Cool. Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. So heading over to Indexed.xyz, you can see that it's a very basic interface where you can either search for a chain, or in our case, we just click on Gnosis here. And then you get kind of 4 options of what kind of data you want. There are raw blocks, and that really just gives you block information, the way you would see it on like a blockchain explorer or something. Same for raw transactions and raw events. And then we also provide what's called a decoded event logs. So this is more like human readable, where we convert some of the hashes and whatnot into readable values that make more sense than 0x something. So what we'll do for now is we'll select that decoded event logs, and there's a number of contracts that we just have as an example. But this is really where you're going to put in your own contract address. So whatever contract you deploy to the chain, you would put that in here, so that once you hit enter, you'll get the correct command, and I'll show you in a sec. Now, in my case, I'll use POAP, and there's enough traffic or enough events happening that I can actually show some meaningful stuff. But in your case, enter your address here, so you can just paste it right in here, and then you see custom contract. You can take that. Now I use POAP, and what that gives you is a command that you can run in your terminal. Now, Goldsky is not installed on your computer very likely, so there's a download CLI. Where there's instructions on how you can get that. There's other ways to access that data as well. You can use the regular S3 client to download, or you can use something like rclone. There's various tools that allow you to download from a Cloudflare R2 instance. All right, so if we look at the command, you can see it's about indexed, syncing, decoded logs, the network name, and then our contract address. Pretty basic. So what I'll do, I already have that prepared over in my terminal. So that's not the terminal. Here we have, give me one sec. You can see I have my network. So if I don't provide a contract address, or if you don't provide one and you hit enter, it asks you what's the contract address you're interested in. Now, in my case, if we go back to here, I have an address saved here, so we can look at that real quick. I'm using the POAP contract address with this hash. So if I go back to my terminal and I paste this here, and then I say run, so this goes up to the Indexed.xyz storage, which I mentioned is Cloudflare R2. So there's cached and somewhere near your location. It downloaded 2 files. That's because obviously prior to this call, I already indexed some of the data locally. But the more important thing now is that you can see it's waiting for new data. Now, what that does is exactly what it says. So it just basically stays in that state and keeps on checking if there's new data that has arrived So if there's an event happening for that contract, Indexed.xyz grabs that, processes it, and then the CLI here will automatically download that to the local file system, where you can then use a query engine to go in and have a look at what's going on. So let me just quickly jump back and see. Jeff joined. Okay, nothing so far. Nice. All right, so this is fetching data. Now let me show you what this looks like on your computer. And oops, let me get out of here. So I am in a directory here where I have a where I ran my command for the CLI. Now that created a data directory. If we look at that real quick, so the data directory is more readable. It contains two subdirectories, a temp directory we don't really need to worry about. That's for the CLI to just kind of keep track of what it already has downloaded and whatnot. And then it has a Gnosis directory with decoded and raw folders with further subdirectories for your contract and then the data in it. So for example, I'll show you real quick. So data, Gnosis decoded, logs, and then here we have that POAP address. And then inside of that directory, this is where we have all the many files of Parquet, and I'll show you how to query that in just a sec. It's not as scary as it looks like here on that screen. All right. So what you can do is, while this is keeps downloading data over here, we can use something like DocDB or any other tool that can read Parquet files. And in my case, I use DocDB. So I can come in here and let me show you what one of those files looks like. So you get an idea of what kind of data you get. Actually, you don't have to watch me type this. Let me copy. Be a lot easier. I'll walk you through. So basically, you can take describe, select star, and then you can just, instead of giving it a table name, you can use that directory path that I showed you up here. And then where these 11,000 files or so are located, you just use a star.parquet. And then we don't need any of the rest for the describe, but that's fine. So we just hit enter, and that gives you an idea. So there's going to be block time, obviously our address, so we can kind of query by our address if we have multiple addresses we may care about. We can do event signatures, parameters, block number, all these different fields are available. And then the other thing we can do is actually just go and have a look at the top 5 or the most recent 5 entries in that database. So if we nuke this here, we do a select star, and then at the end, we have a, let me hide this here. Oops. Go to the end, you can see we are ordering by block time, and then we sort it in descending order so that we only see the most recent 5. So I'm going to hit enter on that. Oops, what did I do? I have to spell select. Oh, what's that? Hang on. There we go. All right, so I search, or I filter for block time, block number, and transaction hash. So if we grab that transaction hash, for example, here, and we go to the Gnosis scan, you can see that transaction happened about 16 minutes ago. And it's for the POAP token, of course, because that's the contract that we filtered by. Now, this data that you get here locally, you can integrate that into your application, and you can query things. Now, in this case, you only have one contract. You could run this CLI here on multiple contracts, and do aggregations or analytics. Really, whatever your project needs in terms of blockchain data, this gives you access to that data, and you can go ahead and query that. Slice and dice the data in whatever format you want, and then process that, integrate it into your application or into your dashboards, whatever your project is about. without having to worry about, calling an RPC provider to get that data and build all the infrastructure around that. So this is just something we provide here for you. Let me go back. Are there any questions so far? This is a very quick run through.
I think Jeff's been very quick on the in the chat to answer anything that's come up.
Nice. Okay. Coupon code. Okay, cool. I suppose. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Yeah, you can, as Jeff said, you can run this in the background. As I mentioned as well, you can run multiple of those commands as well if you want multiple contracts. They just keep running and keep on adding files as soon as something pops up online. Pretty straightforward. One other thing I do want to quickly show is if you want that data like live streamed into your application, like through a GraphQL interface, or even if you want it into your data warehouse directly, as soon as it happens on the chain, you could sign up for a free account as well on Goldsky, which is the exact same underlying infrastructure, but you don't have the 10-minute delay that you get on the open data. And then all you really need to do is provide your ABI and a configuration file, and then Goldsky will do the rest for basically taking that contract, parsing it, and then providing you that value, even through like GraphQL API. I mean, really anything you want, we can export that data to wherever you want. Yeah, so a bunch of links here if you're interested in, if your use case requires more live stream than the roughly 10-minute delay that we have on Indexed. Yeah, I think this. Oops. Is there anything else I can answer? Given the broad audience, I don't really have specific use cases in terms of what you can do, but happy to answer questions on use cases I've seen or use cases that may be helpful.
Cool. We can open that up to the floor to check. I'm just going to minimize that screen there.
Nice.
Awesome. No problem. Yeah, everyone feel free to type your questions in the chat, and then we can read them out and go through them. Awesome, great. And also Jeff has just put down some links that were on the screen earlier. They're in the chat, so please feel free to go check those out. We have a question from Nestor. Mike, would you like to read them through, or I can read them out for you as well?
I can do. Yeah.
I can put them.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
You can read them through, and we can take turns grabbing them.
Deal.
Okay, sounds good. Can I close your shared screen, or would you like to keep that up in case you'd like to demonstrate anything? Let's keep it up. No worries. Okay.
I'll bring
Feel
it back
free
up
to share if you need.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Okay, so first question from Nestor. The Parquet files are compressed, ? For example, with Delta or another technology. They're asking to understand the size of these files.
Yeah. So let me have a look. So I don't, Jeff, do you know if they're compressed specifically? We may do, but.
Oh,
Jeff is gone.
Quick.
He's like, I'm not answering this. Hold on, I can have a quick look.
I think Jeff has actually left the whole session. So, I mean, we can take a quick pause on that question as well. Although Nessa has now elaborated and said it is a question about big data technology, and just because they're curious.
Yeah. Let's hold off. Jeff just texted me saying I'm having issues. We guess we figured that out. So we'll see what happens.
No problem.
Basically,
okay, we'll come back to that next.
I did download POAP, all of it, like the entire history, and on my local computer, I'm at about 6 gigabytes of data for that. But let's see. Jeff is typing, so yeah.
There he is. He's back.
He'll jump into more.
Fantastic. Awesome. Okay.
I see. another one, question, are you competing with the graph blockchain? Yeah, that's a good question. So the graph provides subgraphs that you build and then you index your data, right? And what they had or still do is the hosted service. And now they're migrating more to a decentralized approach with the newer offering. So we actually leverage some of the open source work that the graph team built, which is super helpful to index the subgraphs. That's basically how Goldsky started as at the beginning. Now, since then, we've evolved quite a bit, and what we're doing is we also provide something called direct indexing, where we do a lot of the heavy lifting with our technologies. So for the hosting part, yeah, I think this is similar to the graph. We have other stuff that we built on top, where instead of just a GraphQL API, for example, you can get the data into anywhere you want. If you have your own data warehouse, things like that, we can do that.
I see.
So, hi, I don't know if I was introduced, or I'll just introduce myself real quick. I'm the
Go for
CTO
it.
and co-founder here of Goldsky. So yeah, Parquet compression. So Parquet is already columnar compressed. We also have snappy compression on top of that. It's not in any specific format like Delta. I would say like it's not that Parquet uses Delta or Iceberg as compression. It's kind of the other way around. It's Delta and Iceberg are formats or metadata formats that also happen to use Parquet as a compression and storage format. We chose not to do any specific Delta or Iceberg. The reason being is that we want this to be completely durable data. For us to support Iceberg or Delta, often you need a hosted metadata store. And any company that hosts that store could eventually charge for that data. So the idea of putting this behind like publicly sponsored buckets by Cloudflare and later in the future by other providers as well, and also in decentralized sources like IPFS and Arweave, is that anyone could copy it and run this pipeline by themselves, and no one can have control over any metadata. So it's kind of a principled approach. Does get a bit inconvenient, I admit, but we're trying to build more tools around that to make this as useful as possible.
Cool, great. Yeah, and I think Nesta's responded with a great in the chat. Okay, I think the next question is Nas asking, when you say indexing blockchain data, is it just the events or anything on chain?
So it's almost everything on chain. We haven't pushed traces onto Indexed yet, but that's coming in a future version. But yes, right now it's all logs, so raw and decoded. And then there's transactions and there's logs or blocks.
Cool. Archon has asked, how long has Goldsky been around?
Since 2021, somewhere around there. Yeah. Basically founded from Kevin and I was working in like fintech, big data tech stuff. Was very interested in blockchain. Kevin was the team lead at Matcha with 0x. So, and then he saw an issue. We had a thesis together, and then we founded the company around that time.
Awesome. Okay, next question I think is, let's skim through all these. Also from Archon, what chains are you compatible with? I'm assuming Indexed.
I think that one we have to prefix with today. We are compatible with Ethereum, Gnosis, and Basic Early, and there's more coming as well.
Yeah.
But Nas just put a link in there as well in terms of what else is available through Goldsky.
So I want to make sure that the distinction between Index and Goldsky is clear. Index is the public good that is, done in partnership with the networks themselves, and is free public good, like always going to be free forever. There's no ulterior motive there other than marketing for Goldsky, really. Goldsky is totally capitalistic. We're here to make money. We're here to provide a great service. It's a business. So Goldsky has more chains indexed without direct network partnerships, and also indexed in a different way. Indexed.xyz is what Mike mostly presented today. It's completely free and will be free forever, but relies more on like you download files and build your own pipelines and build a foundation. It's more a foundational layer for you to build on top of.
Cool, awesome. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, I think that really helps us kind of understand the distinction. Okay, let's go through the list. I think the next question is from Nas, asking, so basically we don't need to use subgraph then?
So I think Kazan and Nas's questions can sort of be combined. You do want to use subgraphs if you want to do something and within like a second see it in an API. Indexed updates basically in a matter of minutes. So our pipelines do index any event instantly, but because if we emitted every piece of event separately out into the index data set, there's basically no compression. You kind of want to collect a few more events first and then be able to batch them into files and then push them out. So basically there's a multi-minute latency with Indexed.xyz. And then with Goldsky, there's like under 1 second latency when the block is proposed to it going. So depending if you're thinking about using this for your hackathon project, I would recommend if you don't need super real-time stuff, use Indexed. It's free forever. You can build a whole business around it if you want. But then Goldsky is also like obviously very good for building business around it, but it's a paid service and you just need to keep in mind like what you want to do. But if you want to have like super real-time stuff, Goldsky indexing is probably their best bet.
Cool.
I think one thing I'd like to add for the question about whether you need to use subgraph or not. I think if you want just basic data without much transform or conversions whatnot, we did build a feature where you don't actually have to build the subgraph. We do that for you as long as you give us your API and a configuration file we document. But you can bypass the process of building a subgraph and maintaining that by just providing the API and a config file.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of like more elemental. You look at the raw events in an API, but it's also quite powerful. For example, like Hashflow uses this to power some of their operations. So it can actually scale really well, even though you get a few less knobs and levers, and you can always upgrade to doing custom logic later if you want.
Cool. Awesome. So that was kind of the combination of Nas and Kazon's question together. So next question that's come from Archon is asking, is there a limit per user? I'm assuming, well, you guys speak first.
Two answers,
Sure.
one for different products. I think Indexed.xyz, there's no limit other than whatever Cloudflare is able to provide in terms of download speed, which is pretty good. Jeff, do you want to take the Goldsky part?
Well, yeah, for the coupon code I gave earlier, that's for the dev plan. So there is a query limit. It's good enough for actually all MVPs and many small apps. It's around like, I think 20 to 50 requests every like 5 seconds or something, which is pretty generous for most use cases. So yeah, that would be the only limit. With that plan as well, you're only allowed 3 indexers. But if you're working on just like 1 or 2 contracts, you can kind of fit as many contracts into one indexer as you want. And then you can use the others for like versioning and like having a dev one, staging one, prod, API. Yeah, whatever you want.
Great, awesome. Okay, I don't see any other questions come through, so I guess I can ask a question. What is the best use case you guys personally think there is for either Indexed or Goldsky, or just this method of processing data and stuff?
For Indexed, we've seen people build basically like a mini Dune for their own self-analytics. They were doing machine learning. So they needed two things. They needed all historical data for free. So they kind of pulled all that data and processed it in some sort of proprietary data model. And then they needed live streaming data, but they didn't need really real-time data. So they basically set up a sink to watch the bucket, and they used their model to infer insights as new data came in. And since it was updated, like it's basically updated in a live stream fashion, just lagging by a few minutes, it was good enough for their use case. For Goldsky, the most interesting use cases probably are like, you know, running a DEX or running a bridge directly using our cross-chain capabilities. Basically in our enterprise tier and soon in self-serve as well, you can pipe Goldsky data directly into your own database. So it kind of turns this whole Web3 data problem where like you have to deal with a lot of APIs into a standard Web2 problem where you just have like a bunch of data in like a Postgres database, and then you're just figuring out what to do there and building normal APIs on top of that. So that's kind of like the most joyful use cases I've seen.
Awesome, cool. Mike, anything else to add?
I think one thing that's quite powerful as well, especially once your business starts to grow, is and maybe that's just me, but like analyzing your competitors. So you can use that data to see what's going on other contracts, and you can build your own competitive analysis kind of dashboards or things like that, whatever you need. If that's something that, I mean, you get access to any contract if you want to. So yeah. Or fraud detection is something that actually that's quite interesting too, because of the live stream fashion of what's happening. If something does start to look fishy, then you know that a lot sooner than if it's delayed by minutes or hours, sometimes depending on data sets.
Cool. And I guess like on the flip side of projects, my next question is, what do you think is the easiest way, or maybe like an example of the easiest way to implement Indexed or Goldsky in a hackathon project?
I think if you have like a background or a need for analytics, Index is probably the easiest way. You could spin up a VM somewhere and just download the entire data set, and now you basically have the entire blockchain in a hard drive for you to access. This has a warning, it will be like a multi-terabyte data set, so provision accordingly. But if your hackathon project involves basically doing like wide analysis, like Dune style stuff, but you need a lot more customization, then, or you just want to have it for free, then that's kind of the best bet. Or you could just download just your contract and it'll be a much smaller size. For Goldsky, I think like Mike highlighted a few times, the instance address feature is definitely the easiest way to do any sort of custom indexing anywhere. So you're deploying a contract, you can throw in the ABI and your contract address and the start block, and you instantly get an API that you can use. So you can directly connect to it from your front end, and you just don't need a back end in this case. So that's great for if you just really want to make an MVP or even a production scale app that needs to refer to information in your contract.
Besides the kind of pull approach of calling an API and getting the data, even though it's live streamed, there's also a way where you can subscribe to webhooks. So whatever happens related to the contract you care about, we then push the data to you. But you do need a backend for that. So but yeah, if that's something that may be helpful for your hackathon, let us push the data to you instead of you doing the polling.
Cool, thanks so much. Okay, everyone in the audience right now, please drop any final questions that you have in the chat. Mike, Jeff, if any of the hackers want to get in contact with you, what is the best way? Is it via Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter works, or support at Goldsky if you're interested in anything. You can also make issues in the indexed docs, and we get to it pretty quickly. Yeah, Twitter is probably one of the better ways to do it, but we are also pretty good with email.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, I have popped your Twitter's in the chat already, both of you, but I will just send a little reminder one again here. We're just pasting those in the chat right now. So if you guys in the audience want to go give them a follow, please do, and ask any questions that you might have after this workshop. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Mike, Jeff, do you have any last remarks or any words of advice for our hackers? Just general, even.
I think if anything comes up, obviously don't get blocked. Use our Twitter handles. We know you're going to be busy this week, so I'll keep checking even more than usual. And and anything else, I think get to something end to end as soon as you can, especially for hackathons. It doesn't have to be the prettiest, and then you can figure things out afterwards. But yeah, let us know if we can help.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Jeff,
let's focus on shipping.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, everyone else, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to quickly just do final bits of admin. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone here, if you haven't registered officially for the hackathon yet, please register using this link that I've just posted. And then I've also put in the hacker pack in the chat. So if you need any resources or whatever, or want to look up our FAQs for this hackathon, please refer to the hackathon pack. This hacker pack, and you can always ping me. Again, like Twitter works for me as well. And of course, if you guys are in the Discord group, the Encode Discord server, then you can always contact me. I'm just going to quickly copy my ID here. So just drop me a message there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think a good amount of time. Yeah, so if everyone is okay with it, I think we'll wrap it up there. Cool.
Thanks so much for having us.
Right. Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. And as usual, the chat will stay open for a little bit as well. Okay, see you, everyone.